In the annals of South Carolina's history, there is one name that strikes fear into the hearts of both law enforcement and fellow criminals alike: Samuel Sledgehammer Sullivan, the most feared gangster ever to walk the streets of the state. Known for his merciless brutality and cunning tactics, Sledgehammer's reign of terror would leave an indelible mark on the criminal underworld. Born into poverty in a small town on the outskirts of Charleston, Samuel Sullivan faced unimaginable hardships from a young age. Growing up, he witnessed the struggles his parents faced to put food on the table, and it was from these very streets that he learned the hard lessons of life. Determined to escape the cycle of poverty, Samuel turned to the avenues of crime, embracing a world where strength ruled supreme. From an early age, it was clear that Samuel possessed a cold, calculating mind and a propensity for violence. He quickly found favor with local gangs, demonstrating his fearsome reputation as a brawler and enforcer. It wasn't long before other criminals took notice of his talents, and Samuel's reputation grew, reaching the ears of the most notorious underground figures in South Carolina. With his fearsome reputation preceding him, Samuel aligned himself with a gang known as the Iron Fist. It was here that he earned the moniker Sledgehammer for his ruthless effectiveness when meting out punishment, leaving his foes battered and broken as if struck by an unstoppable force. As his power within the gang grew, so did the wrath he carried with him. Sledgehammer's tactics were as diverse as they were effective. He developed a keen understanding of the criminal ecosystem, eliminating both rivals and perceived threats in a calculated manner that left authorities struggling to comprehend his next move. His methodical approach made him nearly untouchable, as witnesses and rival gang members quickly learned the consequences of crossing him. In his relentless pursuit of power, Sledgehammer expanded the gang's operations to encompass a vast array of illicit activities, from drug trafficking to protection rackets, illegal gambling, and extortion. His empire stretched across the state, controlling the shadow economy of South Carolina with an iron grip. The very mention of his name was enough to send shivers down the spines of even the most hardened criminals. But Sledgehammer's reign of terror would not go unchallenged. Law enforcement, in conjunction with federal agencies, launched a comprehensive and determined effort to bring him down. The pressure mounted, and the walls began closing in on the man who had always seemed untouchable. In an audacious move, a joint task force comprising state and federal agents launched a series of simultaneous raids against Sullivan's criminal organization. Chasing leads gathered from informants and years of surveillance, they struck hard and fast, aiming to dismantle the empire built by the man feared by so many. The battles that unfolded were epic in their own right, as agents clashed with Sledgehammer's loyal lieutenants across the state. In an unprecedented display of coordination, the gang's operations were crippled, and several key members were apprehended, but Sledgehammer himself remained elusive, leaving authorities frustrated and determined to bring him to justice once and for all. Months turned into years as the hunt for Sledgehammer continued. Constantly on the move, frequently changing his identity and location, he stayed one step ahead of the authorities, leaving only a trail of rumors and whispers in his wake. It seemed he had become a phantom, a myth that haunted the dreams of both the criminal underworld and law enforcement. Then, as hope began waning, a crack in his armor appeared. In an unguarded moment, Sledgehammer let his guard down, and a relentless detective seized the opportunity. The daring operation was launched, culminating in a high-stakes standoff in a rundown warehouse deep in the backstreets of Charleston. After a protracted and ferocious battle, Samuel Sledgehammer Sullivan was finally cornered, defeated, and taken into custody. The trial that followed was a spectacle of justice, as the crimes of Sledgehammer were laid bare for all to see. Witness after witness provided harrowing accounts of his depravity, shedding light on a criminal empire built on bloodshed and fear. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the jury had no choice but to deliver a guilty verdict. Samuel Sullivan, the most feared gangster South Carolina had ever known, was sentenced to spend the rest of his life rotting away in a maximum security prison. His grip on the criminal underworld was broken, and a semblance of peace returned to the streets of the state. While his story still echoes through the years as a cautionary tale, it serves as a reminder that even the most feared among us are not indestructible, and that, in the end, justice will always prevail. Please note that the events described in this story are entirely fictional and should not be construed as a representation of any real-life events or individuals.